The African Union has suspended Sudan until the country establishes a civilian government. The move comes after severe international pressure on the military leaders to step down. Negotiations for a transfer of power to civilians has failed, causing severe protests by the people. A total of 108 people have died in the protest, according to the opposition forces. PM Modi will be travelling to Kerala today and will be staying overnight in Kochi. Tomorrow he is scheduled to offer prayers at the Sri Krishna temple in Gurunavur, after which he will address party functionaries. The Prime Minister is expected to in fact spend around 45 minutes at the temple. According to the authorities, surprisingly, even Rahul Gandhi will be visiting the state over the weekend. India's Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has been added to 6 of the 8 cabinet committees. Initially, his absence from 4 major cabinet committees had fueled speculations about Rajnath's role in the new union government. Singh has been added to the committees of Parliamentary Affairs, Political Affairs, Investment and Growth and Employment and Skill Development. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence has called talks with Mexico on tariffs and immigration a good discussion. Pence also said that the time has come for Mexico to do more to resolve the problems of illegal immigration. U.S. President Donald Trump had announced 5% tariff on all imports from Mexico. He also threatened that tariff rates will be increased to 25% if Mexico fails to take steps to stop migrants from illegally entering the U.S. Meanwhile, some Republicans in Congress are ready to stand up to Trump in an attempt to block tariffs. They worry that the tariff would harm the U.S. economy. A group of 1,000 Central American migrants crossed into Mexico with the aim of reaching the U.S. border to request asylum. A group started from Hidalgo at the Mexico-Guatemala border and was headed to the principal city of Tapachula. Some 200 military, police, immigration agents and federal police waited for them to urge them to go back. Migrants from Central America started marching towards Mexico in large caravans last year with the ultimate aim to find asylum in USA. President Donald Trump has threatened Mexico with large trade tariffs on the issue. With the sword of U.S. tariff hanging on their head, the Mexican president has called for a border unity rally to be organized in the border town of Tijuana. President Lopez said the rally would be held on Saturday to uphold the dignity of the Mexican people. Lopez also expressed confidence in reaching an agreement with the U.S. as tariffs would severely damage the Mexican economy. The president also largely supported by the Mexican population. New York police have apologized for the raid conducted at Stonewall Inn in 1969. The raid at the gay bar had spurred the LGBT movement in the U.S. NYPD Commissioner James O'Neill said that the actions taken by the NYPD in 1969 were wrong. The apology comes at the right time with the 50th anniversary of the raid around the corner on the 28th of June. Hong Kong's Court of Final Appeal has said that the government cannot deny spousal employment benefits to same-sex couples. Ruling is being hailed as a major step in favor of the LGBT community. Last year, the Court of Final Appeal had ruled that the same-sex partner of a British expatriate was entitled to equal visa treatment under immigration law. The ruling comes after a 4-year-long battle. An elated senior immigration officer has in fact filed the lawsuit now, smiled and held his husband's hand in front of the media. Hong Kong does not recognize same-sex marriages. Thousands of people marched through the streets of Jerusalem on Thursday in the city's annual Gay Pride Parade. Pride Parade, in fact, exposes deep divisions between Israel's secular and Jewish ultra-Orthodox camps. Some 10,000 revelers waving rainbow flags joined the carnival-like procession as over 2,500 police officers in plain clothes, uniform and horseback patrolled the crowd. Russian President Vladimir Putin met with leaders of Bulgaria, Armenia and Slovakia at the International Economic Forum at St. Petersburg. The leaders said that they were happy to have been invited to the forum and that their relationship with Russia was gradually developing. These states had a very intimate relationship with the erstwhile Soviet Union, and thus the meet had historic significance. Peruvian President Martin Vizcarra has unveiled a new visa policy that prevents Venezuelans without humanitarian visas from entering the country. The move comes on the back of 50 Venezuelans being declared as criminal elements. Peru has sent back around 140 Venezuelans over the last 2 months over alleged criminal background. While Colombia is the primary destination for crisis-affected Venezuelans, Peru remains the second preference for the fleeing refugees. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos was heckled during his talk at the Mars conference, where he was talking about Amazon's plan to send satellites into space. The heckler was protesting against the conditions in a poultry farm that supplies Amazon. The woman was quickly escorted off the stage, after which Bezos jokingly turned to the moderator and said, "Do you have a response to that?" Protests against Malawi President Peter Mutharika have intensified, with the police using tear gas to disperse the protesters. According to many eyewitnesses, the protesters have now occupied a complex housing, the presidency and another government office. A government spokesperson recently came out with a statement that the police had accidentally shot a young boy amidst the protest.
Including journalists.
Citizens of Buenos Aires took to the streets to protest against the state visit by Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro. Hundreds of people were seen on the streets with placards calling the Brazilian president a fascist. The Argentine police had to cordon off the Brazilian embassy to prevent the situation from escalating. Conservative President Bolsonaro has been accused for his misogyny and homophobia. Supporters of the Brazilian, in fact the ex-Brazilian president Lula da Silva, were also present protesting for his release from prison. A New Zealand judge has ruled that media outlets can now show the face of the man accused of carrying out massacre at a mosque in Christchurch. Earlier, the courts had ruled that media could only publish pixelated images of the 28-year-old Australian white supremacist. But High Court Judge Cameron Manda has lifted the order after a shootout in which 51 people were killed. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern had vowed never to say the name of the gunman. However, she had given an assurance that the gunman would face the full force of law. Soccer star Neymar reported to the Rio de Janeiro police headquarters yesterday in connection with an investigation linked to a woman's rape allegation against him. The Brazilian Football Confederation reported earlier that Neymar had received a court order on his posting images and messages of the accuser on social media without her authorization, which is a case of violation of privacy. Another round of severe storms passes through Oklahoma City, causing heavy rain and the flood. The National Weather Service reports up to 3.8 centimeters of rain fell during a 30-minute period yesterday in the western part of the city. Several motorists also have been strangled in waterlogged streets. Rescue operations are underway in this latest band of storms that killed at least 6 people in Oklahoma. A big wall of dirt passed through the city of Texas on Wednesday, as per the National Weather Services. Strong thunderstorms had picked up a large amount of dust and hit the city. The dust storms moved across the region of North Texas. It was accompanied by gusts of winds going at 60 miles per hour. Warnings for dust storm were already in place for areas around Texas. Residents were also warned by forecasters to stay indoors. A wildfire near the Columbia River in Washington state grew to 28.1 square miles. Wildfire, which started in dry grass and sage lands area near the Wanapum Dam, was later contained to around 25%. Residents of nearby areas remain under mandatory evacuation, while residents of some further areas were asked to be ready to evacuate. Emergency shelters have been set for the residents. As per officials, no homes were consumed in the fire, though crop and other infrastructure was damaged. The cause of the fire is yet to be determined. The Duke of Sussex praised the bravery of D-Day veterans during a meeting with Chelsea pensioners in London. Prince Harry said that he was honoured to be in the presence of the war veterans. A prince who has been a former military officer took part in the Royal Hospital, Chelsea's annual Founders' Day celebration. Nearly 2,000 veterans were present at the event along with their families and friends. The Duke was dressed in royal frock coat and carried a sword. The Duke of Sussex's father, Prince Charles, took part in D-Day commemoration in France. Hundreds of people packed into a seaside square in the Normandy town of Arrow-Manches to applaud British troops who landed on the nearby beaches 75 years ago. Veterans of the Battle of Normandy, some being in wheelchairs, led a wreath laying for the fallen outside the town's D-Day museum. Now, songs like the White Cliffs or Dover and Dam Busters March were played. A band of the Royal Air Force Regiment played for the veterans and supporters. This was followed by a fly-past of the vintage wartimer RAF aircraft. Veterans joined in to the performance of wartime anthem We'll Meet Again. Taipei City government is hosting a traditional dragon boat race. Several groups of athletes, including many from other countries, are taking part in the boat race. Giving hope to the endangered species, a rare black jaguar cub was born at a zoo in western Mexico. A zoo in Mexico reported that the jaguar is about 5 weeks old and is the proud son of a sombra and macarillo, the main threats to Mexico's jaguar population and the destruction of their natural habitat and hunting, according to official figures. Population of jaguars in Mexico has increased by 20% in 2018. About 4,000 jaguars exist now in Mexico's wild.